and I was chasing my belt, Mid-Atlantic Championship with Khosrow Vaziri. So he had beat me using his loaded boot. So about 2 weeks later, I wrestle him on TV. I wind up hooking the sleeper hold on him. As he goes down, I take off his boot. I got his boot and I said, I'm going to wear this boot. And I said, I'm going to get my title back. So we're in Roanoke, Virginia, and it's an afternoon shot on, I think it was a Sunday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I come into the locker room, and Sandy Scott, who was George Scott's brother, was the agent there. So he comes up to me and he said, did you get the finish? And I said, no. And he says, I said, what's the finish? And he says, George wants you to do a Broadway, which is a 60-minute draw. I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, I've got his boot. I said, I really don't need his boot, but I've got his boot. I'm going to wear it. I'm a baby face. I'm supposed to be outskilled him. If I can't beat him in an hour, I'm dead. I said, you might as well bury me right in the middle of the ring. I was furious, but we had a match, and it worked out okay. And I thought, oh, Jesus. About 2 weeks later, and George threw these Broadways with us, as we went to these spot shows. And we went to this one little, it was a Native American tribe in North Carolina. And he wanted me to do an hour with Khosrow again. And there's 300 people in the crowd. And I thought, well, okay. So we start doing the hour draw. And all of a sudden, Khosrow's out on the ground. And he said, I hurt my back, Jim. I hurt my back. So I said, well, don't worry. We'll get a count out. So we got a double count out. Boom. And this was after about 40 minutes. So I go home. Next day, I get a call from the office, and they said, could you please come in? And I said, sure. So I go in there, and then George Scott comes up to me, and he says, how come you didn't do an hour Broadway like I wanted you to? And I said, well, Khosrow hurt his back and told me, his back was hurt, so we had a double count out. And he says, well, Khosrow said he never hurt his back.
Really?
Yeah, so he fired me. He fired me that day. So, and it was time for me to leave and come back. And so, that's the way it happens in wrestling. You just never know. And my time had run out, and that was fine.
I was going to ask you if you had any Iron Sheik stories, but that's a damn good one right there. Wow.
Well, I'll tell you another one about him too. So we're wrestling in Richmond, Virginia, and it was for the Mid-Atlantic title. And somehow or other, I made a big comeback, and I false finished him a couple times. And somehow or other, he got a rope or something. So he gets me tied up with this rope around my neck, and he's really choking the crap out of me to the point where I'm almost unconscious. He doesn't realize what he's doing. So he goes to throw me out of the ring, and I could barely go out of the ring. And when I went out of the ring, I hit my brow on the cement, and I had 29 stitches in here. First time I've ever needed stitches in the wrestling match, and it was Khosrow. I forgive him, though. I know he's having some tough times now. And matter of fact, I did, there was three of us from the AWA that did, because he started with us, did a documentary where they interviewed us, and it's going to come out this month. So you'll have to look for it. I think it's A&E on it's from LA, and it's about Khosrow, and
Who else did it with you?
Let's see, Greg Gagne, myself, and there was 2 amateur fellows that helped him, when he came from Iran at the university, the Greco-Roman style guys, Dan Marcy and Dan Chandler. So they took, God, it was a long day. It was like 6 hours. And they interviewed us, and we told stories about Kaz and this and that. And it was, he's had some horrible tragedy. His daughter got killed, and he's had some problems with some issues, you know, as far as drugs and alcohol, but he seems to be coming around, and that's good. And he's such a character. I remember Greg, you know, when Cosmo first started, Cosmo says, nobody's got a stronger neck than me. I've got the biggest neck, stronger, da, 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 da. So Greg says, I don't think you do. And Cosmo right away says, I'll show you. So Greg says, okay, come here. So they're standing by this wall, and Greg puts his hands locked like that behind Cosmo's back of his head. And he says, you try to, you know, break my deal. So Cosmo's straining, and all of a sudden Greg lets his fingers go, and Cosmo hits the back of that concrete with the back of his head, and he went all the way down to his rear end, and his eyes were crossed and everything. And he got up and he says, Greg, he says, that wasn't very funny. But yeah, he took a lot of ribbing when he first started, and he tried to get back at the end, you know, in some ways, and it just didn't suit him.
Yeah.
You know, he got stopped with Jim Duggan right there in Asbury Park,
New Jersey. Yep. Sure
yeah,
did.
I remember that. Geez, you know, and neither one of them got fired. You know,
No.
Yeah, no, and they were working with each other.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Where can they get the book?
Oh, Blurb online, BURB, and it's got like 47 stories on it. In it, every word was written by me, my wife, and it took us 5 years to put it together. Through my high school and college and all the wrestling, and you know, it's fun to do. And I sold a number of books, and you know, the fact that I didn't have a ghostwriter, so I know every time I do one of these, I always sell 10 books at Blurb. So thank you, audience.
So it's BURB?
No, BLURB, Blurb.
Blurb. I will be buying one before I go to sleep tonight.